Welcome back to Ask the Attorney. I'm Amy Rao Mohan along with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm in Clarksville. Yep. 3 locations there in Clarksville, is that
yes. Right on the main boulevard, Wilma Rudolph, and then the Kennedy building's right in front of the courthouse. And then we have the Kennedy Center just outside Fort Campbell Army Base.
And all types of law, criminal, family law, bankruptcy.
Any kind of legal problem. We usually can handle it somewhere. There's a lot of lawyers there, and if we couldn't, we'll know where to go, get you some help, and try to help everyone. You know, one of the interesting things, Amy, we had someone that had a burnout, that their house burned, and I went in the office one day, and there's all these bags of clothes, and I said, what is all that? And they said, well, this family got burned out over here, Kevin. And so we gathered up this from the employees and the lawyers of the law, and I said, well, that is so great. And I said, you know, our motto is we're committed to helping people, whether it's a legal problem or whatever. We just want to help people, and if we can't, sometimes we refer you here and refer you there, but when you don't know where to turn to the Kennedy Law Firm. That was a great slogan that they put together for me one time, but I still like it tonight.
All right, and we will put up Kevin's information at the end of the show, but please call that number 737 plus 737 7587. Chance for you to ask Kevin any type of legal question that you have. We've got David here. Hey, David.
Yes, ma'am.
David, if you'll just turn the volume down on your TV set and talk in the phone.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Okay, it's down.
Okay, right. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm a disabled vet.
Yes.
From the Vietnam War.
Okay.
I went in 1969, and I was assigned to physical conditioning specialist. And out of the clear blue one day, they said, does anybody want to be on the NBC team? Being a young man, not knowing nothing about nothing, but I said, how much more money would it pay? And they said, $100 a month. I raised my hand. I said, yes, sir, that's just for me. I was on the nuclear, biological, chemical warfare team.
All right.
I was trained at Shepherd Air Force Base for 4 weeks. I went back and did an extra week on Agent Orange.
All right.
And I did my thing for my government. Later on, when I got out, approximately 5 years ago, is when I started seeing some things wrong with my body. And I went to a specialist, and they said, David, you've got neuropathy.
Yes.
And I said, no, I don't. I said, I don't have neuropathy. And anyway, finally, I ended up at the Veterans Administration at Murfreesboro.
Yes.
And they're doing tests on me now. But I filed for disability. And in the disability, they have the 3 W's. Where were you at?
Yes.
What did you get into?
Yes.
And when did you get into it? Well, I had a security agreement. Not security agreement, the security clearance. And I worked on classified areas where only certain people worked.
Well, did they give you a disability rating with the VA? Did you get a 100% VA disability rating, or you did not?
So they gave me a 10% because I had a cut on my leg. Had nothing to do with the weakness in my body.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the things that you can consider, and all the other, and I salute you, I salute all those who serve the country and defend us, and especially all those that were in Vietnam. So many were exposed to Agent Orange. It's been my experience, if you've been around the Agent Orange, you've got a claim for additional disability. One of the things that it always gets down to, Social Security Administration, the VA's administration, what will the doctor's records show? So a good lesson that everyone's learning from you, when you see the doctor, be as descriptive as you can about your symptoms. And so then you can help them also make a diagnosis. You can say, I really believe this. You know, I've researched this on the internet. Then research it. What are the effects of Agent Orange? And those are the ways that you enhance, because once your doctor recognizes that you can intelligently discuss this, they're not going to just push you right down. There'll be a lot of guys that don't have any help. They have no desire. They don't want to work extra and learn all these things. So it's like preparation, preparation, preparation. They always say, Kevin, how'd you win so many lawsuits? And I'll come back and say, preparation, preparation, preparation. When both my sons were doctors, I said, you do all of this prior, and that's the same thing I'm telling you. The next time you have a doctor's appointment or a VA meeting for them to discuss a new increase, do your homework. Some of the smartest lawyers I ever knew, I said, how did they win their cases? They knew everything about the case, and you, quite frankly, you impressed the judges or the panel members.
All right. Well, we've got Hiram here. Hi, Hiram.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
I had a question for you.
All right.
I want to ask something about my past regarding this question. Growing up, when I was in high school, they always told you not to drink alcohol or do tobacco.
That's correct.
So whenever I went to the old high school, they would go outside, go into class when it's cold, and they would smoke them a cigarette, go on to class.
Right.
And the reason why I'm wanting to talk about this, some of the coaches, they kept their tobacco at the field house, and they said that you can't have tobacco on the school ground. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want your opinion on what is going on with the Sheriff Arnold situation, him selling vaporized cigarettes, and he's in court about this situation.
Yes. Well,
Things going on. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's a good lesson to learn for all of us. That's why we discuss these cases. A lot of people say, Kevin, what is your secret? We discuss cases. You identify the issue, you discuss it, then we can research the law and try to figure out what is best. But I'll tell you this, the sheriff made a miscalculation for a conflict of interest. If there can ever be a law interpreted against you, it will be interpreted against you. And if somehow I was benefiting by my actions and I was a public official, it shouts and it smells bad and trouble comes. One of the other things that you have to always be sensitive to if you're in public office or under the eye, there's a lot of watchdog groups that are watching you and looking, and so they're going to question that. Many times it's innocent. But many times where there's a little smoke, there's what?
Fire.
There's a little fire too. So I think he's miscalculated. And of course, you say, how do you figure that, Mr. Kennedy? Well, first off, he's incarcerated right now and he's in front of a federal judge. And I'll say this, the federal courts are tough. They watch you like a whatever, and if you misrepresent anything, it's called perjury.
Yeah. And the federal sentencing guidelines are very tough.
Hello, come in. You say, well, wait a minute. Kevin Kennedy was a great guy. He did a lot of benefit. He helped lots of kids. Well, I don't remember seeing that in the federal guidelines when Kevin Kennedy stands up there in front of the federal judge. So it keeps all of us on our toes. Think twice and then act.
Right. We've got Nancy who called earlier, and she's got a follow-up question. Hi, Nancy.
Hey.
Yes.
I wanted to just ask, is there a statute of limitations on that?
On fraud?
Yeah, there is a statute of limitations.
Is it 7 years for civil?
I believe that it is a 7-year statute. Now, there's always an exception to the exception, so we'd have to hear a little bit more about your situation because, again, that fraud could have been covered up for so long. Then the statute, when did the statute actually begin to run? When it was discovered or when it was actually forged? So I would pursue that $300,000. I wish that you could have had somebody before the bank foreclosed. And so many people say, well, they've got a lien, they can foreclose. Remember this, bankers make mistakes too. Their agenda is the bank's agenda. the board of directors of that bank. Your agenda is your home, your family, your grandchildren, and so that's why the legal system in America is still the greatest in the world. So you can hire a lawyer, and even in the courts, a little guy can still get representation and equal out the scales of justice.
But a good idea to get advice from a lawyer so they can figure out exactly what the statute of limitations is on that. And
I always like to talk to the lawyer first. Loose lips, sink ships. You talk. And you know what? One of the biggest things I notice now, every time I'm called, this telephone call may be recorded for quality purposes. No, the truth of the matter is they're recording that to use against you somewhere down the road. So again, you better be very, very careful on what you say and how you say it, because what you say can be and will be used against you.
And plenty of people call in on the show and they say, well, 5 years ago I went to the doctor and they committed malpractice, or they had some personal injury 3 years ago. And so you've got to pay attention to the statute of limitations.
Yeah, remember there's a law out there called laches, and what that means, you can't sit on your rights. Take a proactive approach. Some people say, well, I wasn't financially able at that time. Well, guess what? It's your life. These are your funds. And somebody said, I wasn't emotionally able to do it. Well, hello, come in, get some friends. Everybody needs somebody. And whether you're medically or not, you need some friends and family members, people you can trust. You know how you can get those friends? You have to be a friend.
Okay.
Amy.
We've got Nancy, a different Nancy here. Hi, Nancy. Good evening.
Oh.
Nancy?
Hello?
Yes.
How can we help you tonight?
Well, I have a copyright question.
All righty.
A friend of mine wanted me to write a song to go along with her book.
Okay.
She has written, and she liked the song really well. But I just used her story, and I wrote all the lyrics and the melody to the song, and she really liked it. But then she wanted to get the copyright on it.
Yes.
And I said, well, you'll have the copyright for your
book.
And so now she insisted that she felt like that she should have copyright. So I called the Library of Congress.
Yes, ma'am.
In D.C. and talked to them, because I've written songs before and got them copywritten. And I talked with them, and they said that no, it was my song, that even though I had used her, she had wanted me to write it for her.
Yes.
And I had just used her story, but all the lyrics and the melody and everything was mine. And they said that that I could get copyright for it, and that she was upset about it, and she said, well, you can't use the song. You're not going to be able to use it. So I haven't talked to a legal person about it.
Yeah, well, here's what I'd say. Whenever I do a song or a book or whatever, whether it's a poem and then it was converted into a song, go ahead and copyright it. And if, again, we go back to what I'd said earlier, what is a good understanding? If she said, I'd like for you to write a little song, and then a good understanding at the beginning, you say, okay, I will own the copyright. I'd be happy to do that. Is that a good term for you and I to work out? Or if you say, we'll share in all royalties that would come from the copyright of this, then you could write down that we agree and I do the work. But if it was mine, I would just, and I thought it was that good, I'd move forward and have it copyrighted, because it really works on who's the first to file. And then, of course, if you get into a multi-million-dollar deal, then there's going to be a copyright infringement case probably brought against you over that. But clearly, you know that you wrote the song and you put together that, so I still say it's yours, and you have to protect your interest. You know, so many people that I do business with, I've heard some guys come into the law and they said, well, Kevin, we didn't have anything in writing, and I did this. And I said, well, look at you, my friend, trying to hoodoo the very person that put you up. And of course, we understand that, but I really don't like doing business. And if I knew they were those kind of guys, don't do business with them, because they'll get you somewhere down the road. You know, also, my preacher was a great man. He came in and he said, well, Kevin, don't you have it in writing? I said, brother, I said, the truth is you can have it in writing, and then all they'll say is just sue me. and so then we end up in litigation and spend a bunch of money too.
All right, and I know there's several people on the line. We will
Sorry.
get to those calls, so just give us a few minutes and we'll be back after this.